For the Brahms and Tchaikovsky excerpts, we have a little bit more what we would consider traditional orchestral excerpts, in that they are things that you might actually see show up on an audition list for a professional orchestra job. Brahms Symphony No. 1, I would say your first consideration after we talk about rhythm and we talk about intonation, and that we want those two elements to be rock solid. The next most important thing, or the third item on this list of what we want to look at when we're practicing and preparing this excerpt, are the articulations. There is a lot of detail that Brahms gives us in how he wants these things to be played, and we want to make sure that we're honoring as many of those articulations as we possibly can. Unlike the Rimsky-Korsakov excerpts that I just talked about in another video, the double stops in this excerpt, you will not play both notes. So you will, for an audition, almost every single time they ask you to prepare the top line. So by default, just prepare the upper note at any moment in time where there's two or more notes printed in Brahms. For the Tchaikovsky, you actually have a little bit of luck here, because this opening section of Tchaikovsky's Sixth Symphony is one of the most commonly asked for viola excerpts when it comes to auditions. So it is well worth your time to get familiar with this particular excerpt, because if you go down the road of wanting to play professionally or even audition for colleges, there's a very good chance you're going to see this piece of music again. With this particular excerpt, we want to be very careful that we choose a very steady tempo. I know that the sheet says to target for 100 BPM to the quarter note. In my personal experience, because we want to have a very consistent tempo throughout the entire excerpt, what oftentimes determines the tempo that I end up taking is what tempo I can do the ricochet bowing that begins in measure 42. And so I want to base the opening tempo based off of how fast I need to take measures 42 through the end of the excerpt. Another crucial thing about this particular excerpt is, this is just kind of a fun inside baseball thing, is that the opening 3 measures rest that happens at measure 24, you don't count that. Or if we were going to play this in an audition, I would not expect you to count your way through all 3 of those rests. However, the rest that occurs at measure 29, and then the rest that occurs later on at measure 39, those single measure rests plus the accompanying 3 beats and 1 beat, and you just look at the music to see what I'm talking about. Those shorter rests are actually important to count through, because it shows an audition committee that you have a very good sense of inner pulse and that you know how to count through these short rests in precisely the right amount of time.